So first, let me tell you what is the plan for today. Yesterday, we discussed about memory and we created an application similar to ChatGPT, but not exactly. It has more features, but I tried to give you a taste of how ChatGPT might be working. It has more tools. Once we cover agents also, we can add agents to the same use case to make it resemble more similar to ChatGPT. Right now, just the UI and all, I made it similar to ChatGPT after we understood the concept of memory. Okay. So today for next 15 to 20 minutes, I will revise about memory because I also felt that the last coding part went a little bit fast. I'll explain this. And then today the actual agenda will be RAG, Retrieval Augmentation Generation. A beautiful concept. Your fundamentals will be laid today. And the same concept you will see from different angles when we go on further. So this will be the basic fundamental. Please listen. I'll try to complete as much as possible about RAG today. And I guess tomorrow also we'll be discussing more on RAG only. Okay. Yes. So quickly to revise about memory. Um, as I discussed yesterday, the LLM models are wrapped inside APIs. So we have our OpenAI API. This is a REST API actually. Whenever we are writing our code is a client to this API. APIs are stateless. Once we give a request, it will give the response. Then it doesn't remember the next things. So it is our code's responsibility or the client's responsibility to send the list of all previous messages to the model so that the model will understand what is the context of the new question. So I have done chatting for 1, 2, 3, 4 messages are there. If I'm sending my fifth message in the chat, if all the 4 previous messages are also sent to the API or the model, then the model will understand the full context. What are we discussing about? And it can answer nicely, correctly. So it is our responsibility to add. So I told you here quickly to revise. I showed you. Either we can, whenever we're invoking the model, we can create a list of messages manually and do it. Or yesterday, I showed you if this is a prompt, this is a prompt template. Here we have created messages, which is a placeholder. It is a variable. Here we have to populate list of messages in the template. So yesterday I create a prompt chained with model. This is a chain. So whenever I'm invoking, I have to pass the value for messages. Here I'm passing my first message. Okay. So like that, every time the question is, do I need to prepare my own array of messages? No. So that's why I introduced something called as chat message history. So chat message history object
Shiva,
has
one question, Shiva.
methods. Yeah.
Shiva, here the system and message, we are not doing anything with that. Tab, just scroll above.
We can add a system message also. Chat
Uh,
message history dot add system message also is there. There's a function.
No, no, above screen. The above screen.
Ah.
Just, yeah, here. The system, your helpful assistant.
Mm.
Are we doing anything with this?
No, it is general instruction given in the prompt. System message is a general instruction, which is
Mhm.
common. Any common instructions which you want to give in our prompt, that will give it inside a system prompt. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. What is
Without
your
this also
question?
it works, right?
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
But here, right now, it is very generic. Maybe I could give multiple instructions here,
Mhm.
which should guide the LLM. Right now, it is a simple system message.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
fine. So in chat message
Siva,
history, yeah.
one question. I mean, there is a limit in the amount of content we can send to the model, right? So if the
Mm,
chat history is getting longer and longer, then
mm.
how it will handle?
Very good question. I will tell you. So here in chat message history, what we do, we can add messages like add user message, add system message, add EI message, like that we can add. And your question is, what if I add 100 messages?
Yeah.
The prompt will become very big. Then the number of tokens which we send to the LLM call will be more. Of course,
Yeah.
that will cost us more. And if the number of tokens are more, the LLM response also might be poor. Right, that is your question. So there are techniques to limit the number of tokens. There are techniques to manage the chat message history, which we will be seeing.
Okay.
Okay, there are some techniques. This is just technique. Like what we can do, if the number of messages in the history goes more than, let us say, 10,
Okay.
the technique is to summarize those 10 messages.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Instead of sending all previous 10 messages, we can generate a summary of those messages so that the context is retained and then add the next messages. So we'll make sure that the number of messages will not be greater than 10. We can make sure like that. There are some techniques which we can implement.
Okay,
Okay.
Siva. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. So I created chat message history and then add user message. Like that, we can add AI message, user message, system message, etc. And then whenever we are invoking the chain, chat message history.messages will give list of all messages added. So whenever I'm invoking the chain, I can do like this. But the problem here is I have to add AI message, I have to add user message. I have to do all this manually. Oh, too much of code. So what I want is I want a wrapper. Quickly, I'll revise. I need a wrapper. Okay. So this is the API and this is my code. Within my code, I have a model. That is model client actually, which is nothing but we are creating chat OpenAI. So what I want is this is runnable, right? Model client also is runnable. I want to wrap this model with one more runnable and create a chain. This is a runnable which internally manages history. Runnable with message history. There's a class called as runnable with message history. I want to wrap this model inside runnable with message history so that it will internally have get the chat message history dynamically. Whenever we invoke this runnable, it has to first call chat message history dot add message. That means the current message is added to history. Then invoke the model using that list of messages. Once response comes, the response is an AI message that will be automatically added to the message history and we'll get the response. So in this case, this wrapper, the runnable with message history, internally is taking care of managing the history. Okay. But the next question is, what if there are multiple clients to my application? Each client will have their own history, right? Suppose if I'm developing, let's assume that this is a web application. Each client might be using a different browser and using my application. So for each client, there will be a history, right? So what I want is I want a store, which is nothing but a dictionary right now, um, where key can be something like a session ID. Session ID is one, and value will be chat message history corresponding to the session. Maybe if there is one more user, that user also will be having their own session ID and chat message history corresponding to this particular user. So I want to maintain something like a store. Now, whenever a request is coming, based on the user session, Based on the user session, it has to retrieve the corresponding message history and then add the message to this message history dynamically. This is what I want from runnable with message history. See, I think now you will be getting more clarity in your mind second time whenever you are listening. That's the reason I sometimes do revision. Okay. Let me go ahead and show you how to actually create this runnable with message history. First thing is, here I am having an empty store as a dictionary. Then I wrote a factory function. This I call it as a factory because it is used to create an object of or return an object of chat message history. This is a factory function which can create or return a chat message history. So what is this function doing? It is taking session ID, checking if session ID is not in store. That means we are creating a new object of chat message history and adding an entry into the store and returning that. The second time, if this function is called, session ID will be in store, directly it will return the chat message history. This is a factory function which we need to write. Then see here, I created an object of model, wrapping the runnable with message history with model, and we are giving the factory function, right? Fine. Then whenever I'm invoking this runnable, I need to pass whatever message I want to pass to this model and the config object. This config object is a dictionary which contains session ID here. This is where we are passing the session ID. Right now, I hard coded the session ID. But in case if you are writing a real web application, so the web layer will be maintaining a session ID, right? So that session ID will be passed over here in a real web application. But right now I hard coded this value. Okay, because this is not a web application right now. Or maybe if it is a web application and if the user has logged in, maybe we want this to be email ID. Suppose if user is logged in using an email ID, this value could be email ID. It's up to us, which is unique, whichever is unique. So right now I am hard coding this value. And then whenever I'm invoking, I have to pass a config. So whenever I call invoke, what is this runnable doing? It will take this session ID and call this get session history. Whatever chat message history it gets on that chat message history object will be used for adding the messages dynamically. That is what is happening here whenever we call runnable with message history dot invoke. Yeah. Is this clear? Because once I move further, you should not have any problem with this code. You should be able to visualize. Is this clear? Let me know if you have any queries right now. What is happening? Are you able to visualize what is happening whenever we call invoke on this runnable with message history? You should be able to visualize this diagram, right? This runnable with message history will internally call the factory function get session history to retrieve the chat message history dynamically. Yes, Durga, tell me.
Yeah, can you go back to the code actually?
Mm-hmm.
So it like do we have line numbers? So whatever the line that you are highlighting, right? Model with message history is equal to runnable. So you are calling that with model and then get session history. So that, but you, how is it getting the chart history? I mean, like I know you are assigning the session ID in the store, but how are you passing the chart message history to that method or function?
This is a factory function. The function reference is given to this object. That's all. This line is that's all. So we are passing the reference of this function to this object. Now, whenever we invoke, here we are invoking. At this point, we are passing the config which contains the session ID. So whenever I call invoke, now visualize this diagram. Whenever I call invoke on this runnable, this is a runnable with message history. Whenever I call invoke, Internally, this runnable with message history will call the get session history object function. Sorry, get session history function and pass the session ID.
Okay.
Right. What this get session history will be doing, it is maintaining a store or dictionary which contains session ID and the value is the corresponding one. Suppose if the session ID is 3, for example, session ID is 3. In the store, is there a entry with 3? No. So what this function is doing, it is creating a new chat message history and adding an entry here. This is the new chat message history for session ID 3, and this chat message history will be empty initially, right? It will create a new chat message history and that will be returned by this. Now to that new chat message history, the current message is added and then model is invoked with the list of messages. Once response comes, the response is added as a EI message in this response is given over. Now let's assume next request comes for session ID 2. Next request, next time we are invoking by passing session ID as 2. Then again what? The runnable with message history will call this get session history and pass 2. Is there an entry for 2 already? Let's assume it was there already. So it will retrieve this chat message history and to that chat message history, it will add the current message, invoke the model and the response will be added back. So based on the session ID, the corresponding chat message history will be used like this.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nrsimha, tell me.
Yeah, Shiva, so session ID is unique to the session history, is it? Meaning every session
Of course.
history will have a unique session ID.
Okay. Again,
And
chat message history you're talking about, right?
yeah, correct.
So
Meaning
one chat message history per user we want. And the web layer will maintain the session ID, a unique session ID per user. So that
per
is
user.
what we are
Okay.
using as a key.
Okay. And the meaning suppose if I have 10 messages, so I'll have only one session ID. I'm a single user, meaning I'm the same user. So I'll
For
have a
one user, this chat message history will maintain 10 messages.
Okay.
All the messages of one user will be in this object, chat message history object.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now it is clear, I guess. Once I move further, I think all of you will be able to visualize, right? So that's what we did. So earlier what I did is I wrapped this model inside runnable with message history. The next scenario is important. What I want to do
Shiva,
is, yeah.
sorry, can you just scroll up?
Hmm.
I'm still trying to means this is I understood like when we do invoke function, this human message we have added, config we have added. So once we do the invoke, it will call that function or means that definition function which we have declared above.
Hmm.
Not here
Pass the
in
session
the
ID.
code only.
Hmm.
So here it will internally call it means this chat message history.
It is
And
checking in the
if let's
store.
say
It is returning a chat
if
message history. That's all.
so how when it will add means at which moment it will add the because there is no code I found for the assignment of this chat history into a particular session ID in the store.
That is what is done by the runnable with message history. Whenever I call invoke, this invoke function, if you go and see this invoke function, maybe it is calling something else. If you go and see all this somewhere, if you go and see inside invoke function, that logic, what it will do whenever I call invoke, I'm calling invoke with config, right? In the config session ID is 2. So whenever I call invoke, the runnable with message history will pass that session ID 2 to get session history. And
Okay.
this get session history will check, okay, for 2 is there chat message history? Yes, it will retrieve it. Then on that chat message history, suppose if while invoking, if I'm passing a human message with hello, a human message with hello, whatever message with hello, then that is added to chat message history. Then model is invoked with that messages. Then when response comes, the response is automatically added as a AI message into the chat message history. Who is doing that? Invoke function of runnable with message history is doing that. We don't need to worry
Okay.
about. That's the whole thing, right?
In
We don't want to manage
internally it is
manually.
managed.
Yeah, we don't want to manage it. Once we create an object, this runnable with message history will manage the message histories. That is the whole idea.
So this time this is a store, but what if like store can be
Right?
any type of object?
Yeah,
Then
right now
how it
this is
will
a
do?
in-memory store. This store can be a database store where we'll store everything in a database, or this can be a
Okay.
file store. Yesterday I showed you, right? There are multiple
Yes, yes, yes.
implementations. So
So,
it can be
but
anything.
that
Right now, this
model,
is
this wrapper will work internally as it is working right now. Okay,
exactly,
now got it.
exactly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Um, is the one. Now, the one thing I wanted you to clearly understand right now in the example, whatever I showed, we are creating a runnable with message history by wrapping model, right? Next, what I want is, here is my model object, and I want to create a prompt template and create a chain out of it. Okay. And I want to wrap this in, wait, just a minute. Yeah, I want to wrap this inside runnable with message history. Earlier wrapped only model. Right now I want to wrap this chain. Let us see how it is. I created a prompt. This is a prompt where I have two variables, chat history and the input. My input. These are two variables in the prompt, and I'm creating a chain. Okay, remember, again I am telling, if your chain is having a prompt, whenever you are invoking the chain, what? You should pass values for these two as a dictionary, right? So I create a chain. Now this is the same function, get session history function, no change. Now here, whenever I'm creating runnable with message history with a chain, with this chain, not the model chain, the function same, but one thing is here in my prompt, I know what is the variable which should hold the history. I know the way, I should know what is the variable which should hold the current message. I have to pass the history messages key is this one, input messages key is this one. That's the only difference when you are using a chain, right? Then whenever you are invoking, remember here I am passing only the value for my input, but I am not passing the value for history, my chat history, because runnable with message history, it will automatically populate the value of the history before the control goes to prompt. Before the control goes to prompt, this wrapper will automatically populate the chat with message history object. So this is a way to create a runnable with chat message history when you are having a chain. And then while invoking, you have to pass the input only. You don't need to pass the history. Automatically, history will be automatically populated. That is one which I want you to understand, right? And we created a chatbot. That's okay. And the next thing is very important thing. Sometimes we want a history to be maintained per user ID and conversation ID. No, I don't want history to be maintained per session, per user ID and conversation ID, because one user might have multiple conversations, right? Just like in case of chat GPT, one user can have multiple conversations. If you see here, these are conversations. Every conversation will have a unique conversation ID, right? So single user, I have logged in with my mail ID. My mail ID can be considered as my user ID. One user can have multiple conversations. So now each conversation has a message history, right? So I sometimes want to manage a history based on combination of this both, a unique combination. So I am writing a if condition. If a tuple, this is a tuple, right, in Python. If this tuple is not there in store, I'm checking based on a combination of these two. I'm maintaining one chat message history. Okay. If this is your history function, then while configuring the runnable with message history, you have to tell one more extra thing, history factory config, where you are specifying the field names, user ID and conversation ID. These things have to be defined, right? Then whenever you are passing the configurable object, you need to have user ID value, conversation ID value. Based on this combination, one chat history, chat message history will be managed, right? Okay. One thing in your mind might be, hey, this is becoming too much of configuration. Do I need to remember it? One thing is, once you start using it, you'll automatically remember it. Or if you don't remember it, always your friend ChatGPT is there. ChatGPT or anything like Claude is there. I can just ask, can you give me a sample code which uses runnable with message history in Langchain, runnable with message history, which maintains history based on user underscore ID and conversation underscore ID in Langchain. Don't worry about syntaxes. Automatically, you will get an example of how to use this runnable with message history. See, it is showing you the message history. This is how you should define the message history. And this is a way to configure the runnable with message history. It is showing you clearly, right? It will give you with examples. So don't need to remember one problem with this code. Okay, one problem with this code is it is using something like conversation buffer memory, blah, 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 conversation chain. One thing I will tell you, if you are using ChatGPT to ask questions on LangChain or any framework, let me tell you this, this ChatGPT will be internally using a model, right? Let me check which model is being used. Which, what is your name? I can ask. What is the model name you are using? Let us see what is the model name. Hey, not this. Let me just ask separately. Uh, what GPT model are you using now? It is saying I am based on Chat GPT-4 Turbo, right? Until what date you are trained, I'll ask. Let us see. It is trained till April 2023. Oh, it doesn't have new data. So if you have seen, it is giving the old code actually. When I ask for code, it is giving the old code. This. I didn't tell you about conversation buffer memory because these are deprecated. So one thing I want to tell you, if you are using ChatGPT and all, don't bother because maybe this will actually show you the old code. Now, I will tell you how to prompt it clearly. Okay, I'll tell you the technique. Okay, so first what I will do is I'll go to LangChain documentation Langchain documentation. I'll go to how to guides, and maybe here there will be memory somewhere about memory where the document talks about using memory. Where is it? You have to find, okay, where is the discussion on memory? Where is it? Models, I don't see here. Maybe somewhere it is there. That's the reason. If you see in documentation, maybe it is random documentation, right? We have to search in the documentation. Yeah, including Langgraph memory, it said. Conceptual guide, if I see, it says, yeah, memory. Here is the concept of memory, which actually, no, this is different actually. No, this is different. This is actually Langgraph. So we have to find, and what I'll do is normally once I find the URL, I can say search, and here I'll write refer to latest Langchain documentation at, let's say, for example, I want to talk about vector stores. Okay. Then ask your question. Then it will give you correctly. Or even if I don't give URL, because I didn't find the URL of memory page, refer to latest documentation and answer my question. Okay. How to use runnable with message history, which uses a combination of user underscore ID and conversation underscore ID. Okay, let me actually create a new chat, because if I use the old one, just a minute. See, it is searching the web. Now it created chart history, and now exactly this is the latest code, right? So actually, when you search, I'm telling you again, because even sometimes when I was learning this, when I use Chat GPT, I got some old syntaxes. I felt, hey, am I not, am I actually not having full knowledge? But I understood that the GPT is giving the answer based on the old versions, and some of them are deprecated right now. So always write a prompt saying refer to latest documentation. And if possible, you can, if you find the documentation page, give the documentation URL, it will refer to that and then give you the proper answer. While you search, if you get some deprecated things, just understand that this GPT is trained only till maybe 2023, I guess, right? Yeah, Ruchi, tell me.
Sir, can you please go back to the code?
Yeah, just a minute. Okay, Selva, you are saying that my screen, I want to make it as a single window, right? Selva, are you using a app or browser? If you are using browser, I guess my my video will take some part of your screen, Selva. Uh, can you use the app at least from tomorrow? Or the thing is, if I switch off my video, I feel like this will not be like an interactive session. If you are able to see me, I feel that it will be more like interactive. That is the reason why I switch on my video. If I switch off my video, I think if you are seeing from browser, maybe it will become a full screen. I want to actually switch on the video so that you feel like I'm in front of you. That will give the more good learning experience. So please, if
Yes,
you are
in front
using
of,
the
but
browser,
okay, but your screen, it's a little bit smaller. That's why the coding part section, it's a full, make it bigger. It's a small size like that.
yeah, now is it okay?
Yeah, it's good.
Now it is good. Okay, good. So I'll see this. Yeah, fine. Yeah, Ruchi, you are talking about something. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, here configurable field spec which you have done with history factory config, I couldn't understand this part.
See, my session history right now has to take user ID and for conversation ID. Who has to invoke this function? Tell me. Who has to invoke runnable with method history has to invoke it, right?
Yes.
See, whenever I call invoke, the runnable with message history has to invoke this get session history. So how to tell to this runnable with message history that I have to pass user ID and conversation ID? Somehow I have to pass what all needs to be passed to this function, right? That's where I am specifying. These are all the fields. User ID and conversation ID are the fields which needs to be passed while invoking. And these values I'm passing while invoking, these are key. So based on same key, it will understand, oh, this is the user ID and this is a conversation ID. By passing these two, I have to invoke it. So I have to tell this. That's the way I'm telling it.
But in previous case, when we use session ID, we didn't configure
Very
this.
good. Very good. By default, if I don't specify this, it will assume that session underscore ID is the only field. That is the default.
Okay. Got
If I
it.
use something else, then I have to define it.
Okay.
Okay, very good question. Okay, anybody
Shiva,
else
you were
has any
asking
question?
ChatGPT to refer to the latest Langchain document, and it gave very good results, right? Now,
Correct.
can I ask back the query to ChatGPT to give me the actual link which it referred to? Will it be able to give me that?
Yeah, of course, I think somewhere. See here, it is giving the link already.
Oh, okay.
It is
Then we
already
can
giving
go
the
back.
link.
Okay,
Yes, we
great.
can go to this link. Here is examples,
Super.
which is
Okay.
referencing.
Thank you.
So I hope I revised about this quickly. And this chat GPT, this code you need to understand. Maybe I think if you go through this code, whatever concepts I explained, this is a simple logic. I think once you start working on it, spend some time on it, do each step by step, run it and see the output, you will automatically understand the logic. I think logic you can understand, I can leave it to you, right? You go through this, do it on your own, you'll automatically understand what each code is doing. If not, you can raise your questions tomorrow, right? Please try to work on it. I think I will go to the next topic today. Okay. So please ask questions. Maybe what you can do, if you have questions on yesterday's topics, what you can do is you can log in at around 6 o'clock. We'll have a 15 minutes buffer. That's the reason I am asking you to come at 6 o'clock, 15 minutes before. We can use that buffer to discuss the previous day's questions. Okay, Som, tell me, Som.
Shiva, can you add this last one to the drive, Google Drive actually?
Already I have uploaded. Already I have uploaded.
Oh,
Don't you see that?
I don't
Yesterday
see.
only I have uploaded. Let me check. Maybe if I'll check in front of you.
It is there on April 11th file. It is there. All the code you uploaded.
Yeah.
How to get access to this drive, Shiva? I don't
You
have.
didn't. Oh, okay. Just ping me after the class. I'll give you the link. Already I have given. Maybe you are. I think you joined late, I guess, right? So
Yeah.
maybe you missed it. So click on the link. It'll request permission. I'll add permission to it. Just after the class, you just ping me. I'll review. I'll give you the link.
Sure.
Okay. So now let us go to the interesting part. RAG. So today we'll understand some basics of retrieval augmentation generation. So first part, before I do RAG, I wanted to talk about how to store the data in a vector store. So first thing is, let me tell you the concepts. First step,
Shiva,
I
sorry
will not
to.
discuss about, yeah.
Did we cover about the tracing using Langchain and Langsmith?
Oh, yeah. I didn't cover according to the agenda. I think I didn't cover. Mm, let me cover that lang trace, maybe. Yep, let me cover that. Then I'll come to RAG. Okay, fine. Let me cover that. So let me cover lang trace. Anyways, I'll cover it later, but I think this is a time to cover so that I will be able to show you the next topics. So let me cover lang trace. Okay, let me start from scratch. I'll go to Google and search for lang trace. What is lang trace? Let me go ahead and see this. This is the website. Basically, what I want to do is we are using runnables in our code, right? And we are creating chains in our applications. Let's assume that I have created a chain, big chain A, B, C, D. I created a chain. I wanted to trace, okay, whenever the request comes, we are invoking B, A. What is the input to A? What is the output of A? Output of A becomes input to B, and B will output this. Like that, we are the messages will flow through this chain, is it? And we'll get the response back as well. I wanted to trace, hey, what is the output of A? What is the output of B? Is it as expected? Or is there any issue? Maybe if I can trace, it will be good, right? So that is where we can use lang trace. So I have Googled and I visited the website langtrace.ai. Then I'll sign in. I can sign in with my Google account. I already have an account created, so I'll sign in. Otherwise, you can sign up. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, wait. Langtrace, this is different. Let me log out. Langsmith, let me introduce you first. That will be more relevant to LangChain. I'll introduce Langtrace later. That is different topic. I will search for Langsmith. Okay, Langsmith also is from LangChain. That's why I'm talking it right now. Later we'll talk about Langsmith as well. So langchain.com/Langsmith. Okay, I can actually sign in with Google. I already have an account, so I'm signing in with my Google account. So actually, I have the account, so it is showing like this. Now, what we have to do is first thing, uh, 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 here in settings, if I go, I have to create an API key, API keys. I already have a lot of API keys. Let me delete all the things. We need to create an API key. I'll create freshly API key. It is a personal access token. Create an API key. I'll write Siva key. We have to copy this API key. Okay. Then I'll have to go to .env. I have to set a URL, set a key actually. Langchain underscore API underscore key. Okay. So I have set this as an environment variable. Then one more thing, let me just check. Mm. Langchain API URL. By default, this is the one, api.langchain.com. As we are using the default one, we don't need to give. Now let us see what will happen in this case. I have to, let me check. I'll go to terminal, pip install langsmith. Okay, I have to go to that virtual environment actually. I'll actually go to the virtual environment. Let us go. Actually, this got installed in default environment. I want to activate this Siva venv, which is here. So /Siva venv scripts activate. Then I will do pip install langsmith. So I install langsmith, and also I have configured langchain underscore API underscore key. Okay. Then let us see the documentation which it is saying. Let me just see. Create an account and API key. This is what I did. Create an API key. I created it. Langsmith underscore endpoint. This is the default endpoint actually. If I don't give also, this is the one. So I don't need to configure. And let me just tell you the concepts. Yep. I think I'm not able to find right now, but it is there in the documentation. Anyways, since I know, I'll tell you. I don't need to do anything else. I have specified langchain underscore API underscore key. And now what I will do is I'll go to my code. This is the one which I used, right? Let me actually load the .env again. I'll restart the virtual environment. Sometimes whenever I modify the .env, if I don't restart the virtual environments, those are not getting picked. So I restarted and then loading the environment, and then I'm invoking this one. It's taking a lot of time. Yeah. Now let us go here to the Langsmith and see the default project here. I should see the trace right now. Oh, I am not seeing the trace. Just a minute. Langsmith underscore API underscore key. This is the actual key. I missed the key. Just give me a minute. I think charger. I need to set up. Just give me a minute. Yep, I made a mistake. So Langsmith underscore API underscore key is what I need to write. I made a mistake. Langsmith underscore API underscore key. By default, even if I don't write these two things also, it will be the same. Maybe I will write Langsmith underscore tracing true. By default, it is true only. I don't need to write.
Siva, why
Fine.
does Langsmith need to know my OpenAI's API key?
No need, no need. Here, since we are integrating with OpenAI, that is a one. Because I'm using the code chat OpenAI, right? That's the reason.
Mhm.
If you're using Claude, you have to write Claude API key. That's it. In this example, they're assuming OpenAI. That's it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, so I have changed this. Earlier, I made a mistake. The key name is Langsmith underscore API underscore key. I'll go and restart here. And then again, load the .env freshly, then invoke it. Yeah. Now, if I go and see the runs, is this right now? 7, 10, 15th April. Yes, this is the current trace. Actually, these are old traces. Actually, if you see what I did, I have sent a human message. Hi, I am Siva. Did you see here? If I click on this, it will show me the entire trace. I have sent a message to GPT-4o Mini. This is the input, human message, hi, I am Siva. And this is the raw output. Output is containing text, which is saying, hi, Siva, how can I assist you? And there are a lot of other information in the message object. If I click on this default instead of raw output, this is the raw output, which is appearing like a JSON. If I just wanted to just render, see what is the response? It is an AI message. Hi, Siva. How are you? I can see this. Okay. It's good to see. Now I'll show you the most interesting part.
Shiva,
Let me.
1 second. How did you get the trace over there? Did you enable anything? I'm just trying to follow you. So
I installed Langsmith. That's it.
yeah.
I installed Langsmith and I have set these keys.
Okay, that's
These
it.
are
Those
the
are the
API
two
key.
things.
Yes, that's
Okay.
it.
You
Once I
enable the
set this
trace
key,
through there and then, yeah, okay.
automatically the traces will be sent by using that API key. Now, the interesting thing I want to show you is, let's assume, let's go to here, runnable with message history. Hey, what happened? Chart message history is not defined. Okay, okay, fine, fine. I think I will need to do this. Oh, okay, fine. I have to do invoke all. Yes, here, let us see. What did I do? I invoked a chain. First prompt is there and then model is there, right? Prompt is runnable. Model also is runnable. I invoked this chain. Now beautifully, let us see how it will show here. This is a second trace. See that if I execute, if I run this, you can see there is a runnable sequence, right? And here is in the runnable sequence, right? I'll maximize this. In runnable sequence, you can see if I click on runnable sequence, this is the input to sequence, this is the output from sequence. But to chat OpenAI, to chat OpenAI, what is going on? System message, human message, output. So this is the input going on to this one, right? Fine. Runnable sequence has invoked the chat OpenAI, and this is the input. Fine. Now let me go on and show you the usage of chat message history. So here I'm using chat message runnable with message history and passing this config, right? Let us see what will happen. I will invoke this. You can see the traces beautifully going back. Yes. Yes. See here. This is the runnable with message history. For this, at this level, you can see the input is my name is Siva, output is this. If you see internally, it is calling load history. What is this load history taking? This function internally is taking this input, and there is no history right now. You don't see any history. Output and input is both are same. And then check async or sync, and internally it is calling this one. Now let me invoke the same thing. Model. I think here again, if I invoke this, what is my name? Now it leaves a history. Let us see. Your name is Siva. It is showing, right? Let me go back and see the latest trace. Here I am actually calling this runnable with message history. It is first loading the history. Yes, do you see? The input to this load history is the current message. What is my name? What is output? Is it loading all the previous history? Right? This output is passed to chat OpenAI. If you see chat OpenAI, it is having my name is Siva, AI message. What is my name? It is having the entire history when it is going to chat OpenAI, and we are getting the final output. So like this, at every step, you will be able to trace out, okay, what is the input to this, what is the output to this. And if there is any bug or an issue, you'll be able to trace and find out the bug by going through Langsmith. This is the one, right? Is it clear? And how many tokens are actually taken for this? Whenever I executed this chain, 50 tokens are used. And I was charged this much, $0.0000138. It gives me clearly what it is. How much time it took, start time, end time. It took almost 1 second, right? Okay. So these are the basics about Langsmith. So we'll talk about Lang trace also a little later. Right now, this is sufficient. Lang trace also is there, but we'll see it later. Now let us jump into
Shiva,
Lag.
one question.
Hmm.
So can we also use this for debugging the code? This, I think we are tracing the messages and out. So is this also useful?
Debugging you can do it from within the editor itself, right? So if I say this is the code, let's assume that I want to debug. I can put a breakpoint here. Whenever this function is called, I want to debug, I can put a breakpoint. Debugging can be done in the editor itself. Once I keep a breakpoint, what I can do, I can run this in a debug mode, right? Then the editor itself will help us in debugging. This tracing is not, of course, it will help in debugging, but you cannot stop at that particular point, right? It is a web, it is all API calls. What is happening whenever in our code I'm invoking the API, whenever I'm invoking the runnables, the Langsmith client, which is already there, it is sending the traces to the APIs. That's the reason why we have configured the API key. How the traces are going from my application to Langsmith. By making an API call, my code is sending. Did I do anything? Just I install Langsmith, and if I just configure it, automatically the traces are being sent. Okay. Okay. So let us go to the interesting topic, RAG, Retrieval Augmentation Generation. So what I want to do today, yes, tell me.
Shiva, but I don't want to store this on a Langsmith, all these stresses, because of the privacy concern.
You don't want to share it. You're feeling that this is a web UI and my data is going to Langchain?
Yes.
So you can install Langsmith locally also. Okay.
Got it.
You can install Langsmith locally also. And then what all you have to do, instead of the Langsmith endpoint being the public URL, you can point it to your local URL. So Langsmith, right now I'm just showing it using the Langsmith URL. You can install it. Just we have to check the documentation on how to install Langsmith locally. That's all.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, Som, tell me your query.
Is it just for tracing purpose, the Langsmith?
Of course, tracing. And of course, it will help us in debugging as well. If there is some issue, you need to understand what is happening. Yes.
Got it. Yeah, I'm not able
Okay.
to bring down.
Okay. I'll bring it down. Fine. So what I wanted to do today is a small part. I wanted to store the documents into vector store. So I'll be using a vector store called as ChromaDB. Okay. I'll tell you what all I want to do. I will take a PDF. Let us say the PDF is containing 100 pages. What I want to do is I want a PDF loader, a utility like PDF loader. There is a utility called as PyPDF loader given by Langchain. I want to use this PyPDF loader to load the PDF. Right? If I use it to load the PDF, what this loader will do, it will give me array of documents. Okay, what is a document? You need to understand right now. Document is an object which contains text, not text actually. I will say which will contain, in this case, page content and metadata. So what will happen? There are 100 pages in the PDF, right? This PDF loader, what it will do is initially for each page, it will create one document object, and the document will contain page content, right? The page content will be the corresponding page content. Metadata is a dictionary which will contain information about this particular document, like this document is from which file name, and which page number, etc. That metadata also will be populated into document. So simple. I'll have one PDF. I will use a PDF loader to load this PDF. It will give me array of documents. In case if I have 100 pages, I'll get an array of size 100, one document object per page. Okay. Fine. Now you understood, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to store these documents into Chroma and retrieve it. That is what I'm going to do. But before I show you how to use PDF loader, I want to manually show you how a document object will look like. Let us see. Step by step, I will show you. You need
Will it
clear
work for
clarity on
Excel?
whatever I'm going to discuss, right?
Will it
Sorry?
work for Excel, Word, or CSV
Anything,
files?
yeah, even for PDF or Word or anything. Only thing is here I said PyPDF loader. Maybe you have to use a different loader based on
Okay.
document, whether it is CSV or Word or whatever. There are different loaders. I'll show you. Okay. Fine. Now, this is my PDF file. First thing I want to do is load the env. Okay, I'll first select the kernel to be Siva v env. Okay, load.env. Then I want to actually show you how a document object will look like. So I'll paste some code which I have. See, I imported document from langchain_core.documents. And here I manually created an array of documents. Normally, this array of documents I will get if I use some loader like PDF loader, but manually I created so that I can show you. This is a page content. You can assume I just hard coded some text as a page content. And then metadata, I want to clearly visualize that it is a dictionary which contains some key value pairs. Right now, I have some key value pairs. So this is an array of documents I have. Now I want to store this inside Chroma. So let us see. I'll go to API documentation. This is the API documentation of Langchain. I want to go to Chroma and I understood, okay, this is the module to be installed. Langchain underscore Chroma is a module to be installed. So first to use Chroma, I need to install that. I'll go to terminal. I'll do pip install Langchain Chroma. There are a lot of vector databases. I will tell you. There is something called as Elasticsearch. Yeah. Langchain Elasticsearch. This is also a vector store from Elasticsearch. So if you want to use Elasticsearch, you have to go here and see this is a module to be installed. So like that, there are a lot of things like, for example, Pinecone. Pinecone also is a vector database. If you want to use Pinecone, you just have to install this Langchain dash Pinecone. So based on whatever you want to use, you have to install the corresponding things. So right now, I'll show you with Chroma. I have installed this Langchain dash Chroma. Fine. Then let us see how to actually store this in Chroma. How easy it is. Let us see step by step. I have to first import Chroma. I'll import Chroma. Then before saving the documents or writing the documents to Chroma, I need to do embeddings, right? And to create embeddings for each document. So I want to use embeddings. I can use any embeddings, like I'm using Langchain underscore OpenAI. OpenAI embeddings. We have already used this OpenAI embeddings, if you remember, when I talked about embeddings. So I'm importing OpenAI embeddings. Now what I can do is I can create an object of embeddings is equals to OpenAI embeddings. Okay, what is it saying? No module found Langchain underscore Chroma. I installed, right? They installed or not?
Yeah, we did that pip, but in which environment? Virtual
But it is
environment.
still installing, I guess. I think it is still installing Langchain underscore Chroma. Still installing. Let us wait. Maybe I have to wait. Still, it is getting installed.
So does it have a database kind of thing? So
of course, Chroma is a database, vector database.
Yeah, but is it a real, like, just like any other database? I mean, like,
I didn't get you. Just like database.
Okay.
Just like database, you can actually use it as an in-memory database, or you can persist it.
Okay.
But I'll show you both. How to use it as in-memory database and how to persist it, I'll show you both.
Okay. Okay, that's my question actually. Thanks.
I think it is still installing. Is it taking? It should not take this much because actually it depends on a lot of other things. See this much. I think it is still installing. Yeah, I think installation is done. Yes. Installation is done. Now I guess I can run this. I'm importing Chroma and I created embeddings. Then I'll show you how to. Yeah. Now simply what? Chroma dot from documents. But all I have to do is I just have to specify from which documents. I have created documents array. I wanted to store them. Chroma dot from documents. I'm passing documents and also embeddings. This is the embedding object which needs to be used, and I can just comment out this one. If I specify persistent directory, this directory will be created and the database will be persisted. If I don't specify persistent directory, that means Chroma will be used as in memory. So that's all I got. I'll be getting a vector store object. Okay. So that's how you can actually use Chroma. Now what I will do is I don't want in memory. I'll configure persistent directory. Okay. Then persistent directory is Chroma underscore test, let it be. Then what is this collection name? So let me tell you a simple analogy. Let's assume that I install MySQL database server, SQL server on my machine. In one server, can I have multiple databases? Yes, right. I can have database 1. Under this, there can be a lot of tables. I can have database 2. I can have a lot of tables. So one server can contain multiple databases. Similarly, when it comes to Chroma, we call collections. It is nothing but one database name. So whenever I use this collection name, I'm giving, I want to store, it is equivalent to a database you can assume right now. Under Chroma, this is a database. If I don't pass anything, it will store in a collection name called as default. If I want separate, I can give it, right? So let me run this right now. Do you see that there's a folder called as Chroma test created? Yes. And Chroma is internally using SQLite 3 database. Internally it uses a SQLite 3 database. These are the lot of tables. We don't need to understand what all tables are there. See, there's a collection called as test collection. And you don't need to understand there is maybe a lot of metadata, full text search. See, what all documents are stored somewhere. This is all internal to it. We don't need to worry about it. We don't need to even see inside it. So whenever I said chroma.from documents, what is this function doing? It is iterating through each document. For each document page content, it is making a call to this embeddings API and getting the embeddings. And the embeddings also are stored somewhere. Let me just check. Is there a table called as embeddings? Yes. Based on some internally segments, embedding ID, sequence ID, embeddings. Somewhere embeddings are stored.
It's part of collections, right? It's part of collections.
Collections is like a database name, but embeddings for each document,
It should be under collections only, na? Because collection is a kind of database name. So if we expand it, then
okay. I think I should not have shown you this SQLite tree. Internally it uses, but for us at a high level, we have to think of this collection as a database. Internally, the vector store internal implementation is using SQL database. We should never think about SQL. We should always think, okay, from vector store Chroma perspective, this is one database.
So in test collection, it will be there in embedding.
In test collection, it will be there. Correct. So embeddings will be created for each document and embeddings will be stored, right? Now I've got a vector store object. One thing I want to tell you here, embeddings, I used OpenAI embeddings, right? It will charge me. OpenAI embeddings will be charged. Let me go to platform.openai.com dashboard. No, docs. Models. Here are embedding models. Where are they? Yeah. Here is an embedding model. Price is 0.13 per million tokens, I guess. Okay. But definitely, whatever it is, how much ever it is, I'm charged for these embeddings, right? So I could have used text embedding 3. So how do I specify the model name? Is there something called as model? Let me keep my cursor over here. Yeah, model is equals to, by default, it is ADAR002. So I should have given model name as small because this small one will charge me 0.002, right? So that is a model which is used, but I don't want, because see, if I'm importing 100 pages PDF, how many tokens are there? How much will I be charged? So I don't want to use OpenAI embeddings because it'll cost me. Are there any open source embeddings? If there are any embedding models which I can use for free, it will be good. So that's where I will introduce you to Hugging Face. Hugging Face is a repository of all open source models. Even I can create my own model. I can create an account in Hugging Face and I can publish my own model. And if that is approved, that will be pulled onto community. So if I click on models, yes, there are lots of models, right? So there are embedding models also here. So what I want to do is I want to use an embedding model, right? So let me search here by embedding. I think here embedding. See, there are a lot of embeddings models, Gina embedding something. You can just see a lot of embeddings models. We can use any of these open source embeddings models. So how to use embedding models of Hugging Face? Okay, let me check the documentation. There's API documentation. Is there an integration with Hugging Face? Yes. Here is the Hugging Face. So I need to install Langchain dash Hugging Face. So let me just install this one. Pip install Langchain Hugging Face.
Yeah, while it is installing, so can we print that vector store actually? Can you see what is inside from the previous output?
This one.
Yeah,
We just
yeah.
ingested. This is ingestion. We can query it. I'll show you how to query that store and retrieve the documents. We'll see that. Right now, this is the way we store it. We persist it.
Yeah, but can we print that vector store underscore vector underscore?
This is it is like a database object, database connection object or so.
Okay.
Entire database we cannot print it, right? What we can do, we can query the database.
Okay.
We cannot print the entire database. We can query it. I'll show you how to query it. Okay. Just before that, I wanted to use OpenAI. Instead of OpenAI embeddings, I want to use Hugging Face embeddings. So if you see the documentation, is there a class under embeddings called as Hugging Face embeddings? Yes. So here it is showing how to use Hugging Face embeddings. You can create an object of Hugging Face embedding and you can specify the Hugging Face model name. Model name can be anything, right? So let me create an object of Hugging Face embeddings in my code. So first of all, I have to import that Hugging Face embeddings instead of OpenAI embeddings. I don't want to use. So I'll comment out this part and then I will just install. I'll just initialize embeddings is equal to Hugging Face embeddings. I'm not specifying the model. If I don't specify, it will use default model. Let it be, right? So now I will delete this. One mistake which we will do is here already this persistent store is there, right? I will delete it. I'll tell you one mistake which you should not do. Let me delete it. See, it is logged or something like that. Maybe something is using it. Let me restart the kernel so that if anything is locking it, that will be deleted. Now let me try to delete it. Yes, delete it. So if it is not getting deleted, just restart your kernel. If something in your kernel is holding to it, it will be restarted. So now the thing is, earlier I created the database using this persistent that earlier I used, right? One thing is in one collection, when collection is equal to database, right? In one collection, you should use single embeddings only. If you create in the same collection, if you use different embeddings, it will give an error. So I deleted the previous one. Right now, I want to use Hugging Face embeddings only. Let me just run this and see what will happen. The Hugging Face model will be downloaded onto my local machine. It will take a lot of time now. Oh, what is it saying? Oh, Langchain underscore Hugging Face, still is it going? I guess still it is going on. Let us wait until this installation is going on.
Siva, so what
Yeah.
about like again same thing, privacy. So let's say if I have a company document, I cannot like do OpenAI or Hugging Face.
Hmm.
Then should I use
Hugging,
something to
wait. In
open?
this case, I wanted to show you that Hugging Face model will be downloaded onto your local machine. And
Okay,
that download
understood.
model will be used. And these are lightweight models. That's why we are downloading it. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Then there is no problem. Thank you.
Yeah. Let us wait until this is installed. Yeah, in the meantime, you can ask any queries.
Shiva, for the vector database, there would be no cost, right?
It is download. This Chroma is a local database right now. There are
Okay.
cloud databases like Pinecone is a cloud database. Elasticsearch is a cloud database. This Chroma is an open source one and it can be downloaded. We downloaded it. We installed Chroma DB. It is free.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. You when you are using running the code, make sure that you will not use OpenAI embeddings because it will charge you. Use Hugging Face embeddings. It's okay. OpenAI embeddings may be more accurate. That means this embeddings model has been trained on huge data. Maybe the accuracy, like whenever we do a similarity search, will get more accurate search if I use OpenAI embeddings. But for our use cases, we can use Hugging Face embeddings as well because it is free. Maybe in your organizations, of course, we'll go with it. And see, these embedding models are multiple embeddings models are there. For example, if I go to Pinecone, as I said, Pinecone is a cloud cloud vector database. Is it having Pinecone embeddings? Yes. So every model has their own. Let's say, for example, Elasticsearch. Is there Elasticsearch embedding? Yes. See, Elasticsearch embeddings are also there, right? But since it is a cloud one, right? They are calling it as embedding service. So there are multiple embeddings. So you can use anything. Right now, I'm using Hugging
So
Face.
it's like using if I use a Pinecone, then I have to use the embedding of Pinecone. It's not a binding, right? Okay,
No.
fine.
Even if you are using Pinecone as your vector store, you can still use OpenAI embeddings. The
Thank
only
you.
thing is, see, what are the embedding models doing? They are taking a string and then they are returning you an array of numbers. So the only condition is whatever embeddings you are using to store the data, same embeddings have to be used while retrieving the data also. That is the only thing. So even if you are using Pinecone, you can use this embeddings also. But only thing is when using Pinecone, let us use their own embeddings only. Maybe their database and their embeddings might work perfectly, but that is not a rule. Okay. Yeah, Srinivas, tell me.
This embeddings, right? So actually, when we talk about the embeddings, when you said that embeddings will created based on the prompt we created, right? So, for example, when you
Based on
use
the
the
text. Yeah.
text, yeah. So, but here, OpenAI embeddings, when you created as early as you did it, but all the documents are created embeddings. For example, you have a huge data, so
Mm.
it charges more, right?
Of course. That's the reason I'm telling you use Hugging Face embeddings. So right now, see, I executed this cell. The Hugging Face embedding model will be downloaded locally.
And no, my question is like, for example, you have 100 pages, very first time itself will create all embeddings, or like it will, uh,
Ah. See, while storing, what do I mean by storing? This is storing the data in a vector database. I have created documents. In this case, I created these documents manually. Normally, let's assume that you are loading a PDF. If the PDF is having 1,000 pages, all 1,000 for each page a document will be created, and for each page content embedding will be created. So for 1,000 pages content, embedding will be created and stored in database. So for 1,000 pages document, you are paying OpenAI. It will be costly. So that's the reason we can use any open source models. But maybe in production, if you want high quality search, similarity search. See, first of all, why are we storing this? We want to do similarity search. If you want your similarity search to be high quality, maybe your embeddings also should be perfect. So better use a better embedding model, even if it's costly. So maybe in your production, you might want to use OpenAI embeddings. But for now, I am using Hugging Face embeddings.
okay.
Okay, I got an error. What is it saying? Documents is not defined. I think I didn't execute the previous cell. Okay, now I'll execute this.
Shiva, how would I know like which one is the better embedding, Hugging Face embedding? Do you have any rating or something?
Nothing like that. Maybe you have to check the documentation of each embedding and do a
Yeah. So
comparison.
we never know, right, which one is the right one. Like people will be uploading everything in the Hugging Face. So we are not sure like which one is the best one. Is there any way we can identify which one is the best one?
There are different products, right? OpenAI. If I'm using OpenAI model, I can use OpenAI embedding. If I'm using Claude model, I can use Claude embeddings. And if I'm using Pinecone as my vector database, I can use Pinecone embedding. So I think we have to evaluate based on which vector database we are using. So for
Okay.
Chroma, you can use anything. Chroma that doesn't have Chroma embeddings are not there. So I guess we can use OpenAI embeddings, or maybe we have to look at the documentation of those embeddings, how many parameters are being trained, etc. For example, where is it? Vector stores. Let me go to Chroma, not Chroma. Maybe I have to use I have to go to OpenAI and see how, where is documentation? I think I opened the documentation somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So here maybe it is discussing, okay, text 3 embedding large, uh, blah, blah, blah. You have to check the documentation and see. Based on how many parameters. See, if you see text embedding large.
Yeah, this is fine. Like when you go to the Hugging Face interface, Hugging Face, right? So there are a lot many models. Like which one is the best one? Like how would I know? Like uh,
Maybe we have to check the documentation page and we have to see how many parameters it has been trained on, what are the results, everything. See,
okay,
documentation says that this this can this can take up to 8190 tokens. This model, I just clicked on random model, GNI embeddings V3. The documentation of it is saying it can handle long input sequence up to 8192 tokens. So if your document is having more than 8192 tokens, this might not be the correct one. So
okay,
maybe based on documentation, we have to take a decision.
okay, sure. Yeah, thanks. Sure.
So let us go. Okay, I stored it in, you can see that Chroma test is created. Now, suppose if you're already having database, this is a way to store the documents also. Now, how to load this, right? Very simple. What all I have to do is I have to create a chroma object. Chroma persistent directory is this one, right? And collection name. By default, if I don't specify the collection name, it will be the collection name. So since I give collection name here, I'll give here same collection name. Yes. So what? Am I creating a database right now? No, I'm getting the reference of the same document, same database. I'm pointing to, okay, persistent directory is same. So first one is storing the documents using these embeddings, and second one is creating it. And one important thing is you have to pass here embeddings function is equals to same embeddings. If you give a different embeddings, then again this will cause a problem. Comma persistent directory. I have to make sure that I point to same persistent directory. So this is the vector database. I got reference to it. Then how to retrieve? Let us see the retrieval part. I stored and pointing to the same persistent directory and collection, I got the object. Now how to retrieve? Very simple. What we have to do is we have to use vector store. Whatever vector store, I should have given same name. Yeah, vector store dot as retriever we have to call. This as retriever is returning an object of what? It will return an object of vector store retriever by using which we can retrieve from a vector store. So as retriever, and I have to take this in a retriever object. Okay, then what I can do is for this retriever, I can specify the search type. How does it search? Search underscore type is equals to similarity. Search underscore type is equal to similarity. Search KWR k is equals to 2 means I want top K documents. And let us take filter later. Yeah. So search KW arguments, keyword arguments. KW means keyword arguments. K means how many documents you want to retrieve. Top K documents, top 2 documents in this case. I want to do a similarity search, right? And I want top 2 documents I'm saying. Then I can use this retriever to query. Now let us see. I will use retriever dot retrieve. Retriever, sorry, not retriever dot retrieve, retriever dot invoke. Here is the important thing I want. There is invoke function in retriever. That means is it runnable or not? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. It is runnable. Whenever you see invoke, that means you have to think that it is runnable. If it is runnable, I can reuse the retriever in a chain. Later, I will use retriever in a chain. Okay. So now I want to search for DiCaprio. There is something about show by DiCaprio. I'll search by DiCaprio. I'll do a similarity search of 1. I want top 1 document retriever.invoke DiCaprio. See, did I get DiCaprio? I think I didn't execute it after changing this. I said K equals to 1. I should have got only 1 document. Yes, I got only 1 document which is talking about DiCaprio. It has done a similarity search and retrieved a document which is similar. And this entire document has metadata, all of this, right? See, if I say K is equals to 3, okay, K is equals to 3, I said, then I will run. Tell me how many documents will I get? 3 documents. But are these documents, first one is having DiCaprio, are these documents having DiCaprio? No, Still I got it. Why? Because it is actually calculating the similarity scores. So what is happening once I use retriever.invoke is, for this text, embedding is created using the same embeddings algorithm. Embeddings will be created using same. And then for this string, embedding is created, right? Now it will search in the entire vector database for top 3 documents with embedding score similar. See, for this document, maybe embedding score might be 95%. But for this, at least 10% will be there, right? For this, there might be 20% similarity. For this, there might be 10% similarity. Since I said top 3 documents, these are also retrieved. Okay. I hope this is clear. So I'm doing similarity search and I can specify how many. If I give one exactly, I'll get the one which is having top similarity score. Okay. Now you might be wondering, okay, let me go to documentation. Yeah, I'll just take 5 more minutes and then I'll complete it. Vector stores, I'll go to Chroma and I want to see the documentation related to retriever. As retriever, I'll go to vector store retriever. There is vector store retriever dot invoke. Yeah. Right. Vector store retriever dot invoke, not here. Just a minute. I want to see the documentation and show you an example. Let me go to Chroma then. I think Chroma itself will have an example. Somewhere. Yes. Vector store dot as retriever. We have search type. Search type according to documentation, the search type can be MMR or similarity search or similarity score threshold. Let me show you an example here. They have mentioned in the documentation MMR. Okay, and also there is one more thing called as similarity score threshold. I can use that. Let me go to the code and specify here similarity score threshold. Okay, I know that there is such type called as similarity score threshold. I will go to ChatGPT and ask. I am using latest Langchain version. I want to know how to use vector store retriever with such underscore type as similarity score threshold. Yes. Here it will give me an example. Yes. So here, what I mean to say is why I'm actually showing ChatGPT is you just need to understand the concept. You don't need to remember the syntaxes. You don't need to understand. You should understand, okay, we can use similarity score threshold. Vector store dot as retriever, such type is similarity score threshold. You should know that there is an option called as similarity score threshold and you can specify score threshold as 0.9. For this similarity score threshold, the score threshold is 0.7. That means what? Whenever we are retrieving, we want to retrieve the documents only whose score is greater than 0.7. Very simple. right? Let me just copy paste this. Let me just copy paste this. Yeah. So what? Now I should retrieve a documents whose call threshold is greater than. Now I'll give 0.9. Let us see. If I say retriever dot invoke DiCaprio, it is saying no relevant documents with score threshold 0.9. Oh, exactly DiCaprio is not matching. The reason here is maybe the embeddings models, the embeddings generated as these embeddings are generated using this Hugging Face embeddings. Actually, what is happening whenever I try to retrieve? It'll create similar to score, right? So those embeddings which are used are not exactly finding. Actually, as I use the exact keyword DiCaprio and there's a document which is having that, I should have got this document, but I didn't get because because I use this Hugging Face embeddings, and these embeddings model might not have been trained with huge data. The the output or the accuracy of Hugging Face models might not be as good as OpenAI models. So that is the reason I'm not getting. So that doesn't mean our code is bad. Maybe the embedding model, if I've used a good model, I would have got it. So let me make this as 0.6. I want all documents who are having more than 0.6 similarity. Still, it is not. Let me make it as 0.4. Let me make it as 0.1. Yeah, now it got this DiCaprio, maybe 0.3. Maybe, yeah, it is having a score greater than 0.3. Maybe if I say 0.4, yeah, maybe I guess this document is having similar to score almost between 0.3 and 0.4, I guess. So if you want to retrieve documents based on similarity score threshold, this is the way, right? Now last, okay, let us not extend it after 8 o'clock. I think you'll lose interest. So I'll stop here, and tomorrow we'll quickly do a revision of this vector stores, and then we'll complete the discussion on RAG tomorrow. Okay. Let us not extend after some point. You'll lose your concentration. Yeah. Any queries I can take?
I have two queries.
Yeah.
One is what if instead of that JSON document, because we have given the document that
This is an array.
this one.
Array.
Yeah. Yes, sorry. Yeah, the array in Python. So if instead of this array, right now, if you scroll down, we are like directly passing it into the here from document. If it is something else, which is not this structure, even
So that's what tomorrow I'm going to show you.
okay,
I will
fine
load
then.
the PDF. I have the PDF. By using PDF loader, what it will do, it will give me array of documents. I will not construct this manual documents. PDF loader will create it
So
tomorrow.
you are saying whatever it is, even if it's a PDF or anything, we have
PDF
to come
or
to
Word
this
document or CSV. Finally, we have to convert it to array of documents. Then array of
this
documents
structure
can
we
be
have
stored
to
in Chroma. Yes.
understood. Okay, this is all fine.
And what are the other search types available? So we saw two of them, right? Similarity search and then similarity.
MMR is there. MMR,
MMR.
there's one more. MMR. We'll discuss about that MMR tomorrow. That because that needs more explanation as well.
Okay.
And semantic search and similarity search are same or
Same.
are
Both are same. Similarity search is internally doing semantic search. Correct. Both are same terminology is different. That's all. Two different words.